Welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me each week here talking about my farming and creative life. This week I just wanted to catch you up on a few things that have been happening around the farm that I've spoken about earlier. The first one is the weather, which seems to be a fairly regular topic here, and as I spoke about in one of my earlier episodes, it's not something that I ever expected to be quite so obsessed about. But we haven't had any more real significant rain. The dams are all pretty much empty. We have borrowed an excavator, and in the next few weeks we are hoping that we can dig out the dams a little bit so that we can make them deeper, so that when it does finally rain we are able to store a little bit more water in the paddocks. The grass is still becoming greener though, and that's because the nights are quite cool and we're getting early morning mists and a little bit of dew on the ground, and then the sun is turning that little bit of moisture into new green growth. So the landscape's starting to look a bit better, but in terms of actual moisture in the ground and content in dams and in tanks, we're still not doing that great. I also wanted to give you an update on how we've been using the beeswax wraps that I made a few weeks ago, and I've found that they've been working really well. I've got some here that we have been using quite extensively, and you can probably see that they're quite cracked now and quite white lines through them. But they do flatten out really well back to their original shape. They're not as stiff as they were when I first put them through the wax, and they don't smell like wax anymore, but they're also not holding the smell of whatever you put in them either. We have wrapped cheese and onion and a variety of other vegetables, and just with a quick rinse of water and then left out to dry, they just bounce right back. And it's also keeping the vegetables very fresh. I had a cucumber in there for about 2.5-3 weeks, and it was still perfectly fine to use, and I haven't found that using cling film or just having it in the fridge as is was able to keep it that fresh. So we're going to continue to use these. It might get to a point where I might have to re-dip these, but at the moment they're working really well. They're obviously not the prettiest after a while. As you can see, they kind of turn a little bit funny, but in terms of being functional and taking the place of otherwise rubbish around the house, they're working really well. Up to this point I've talked a lot about my knitting, but I haven't talked about spinning yet, and it's something that I'm very new to. When I left my full-time job last year, the gift that I got was a brand new Majacraft spinning wheel, which is absolutely beautiful, and I love it. Learning a new craft as an adult has been a really new and interesting experience. I've been knitting for a really long time, and when I learn a new technique or skill in knitting, it's still based on, the knit and purl stitch, and it feels familiar. But spinning has been a whole new way of moving and different terminology and a completely different skill. So given that long term I would actually like to be able to teach people how to knit or particular skills within knitting, it's been quite eye-opening for me to now have to teach myself something new, and as an adult how different that is, and something that you take other things for granted that you're good at them. So to have to sit down and actually practice something because you don't know how to do it, and that the results are not necessarily what you're proud of or happy with, it has been quite an interesting process, really. So I have now, I've created my first skein of yarn that I'm actually really super happy with. This is the top was from Colleen's Craft, and it's a Corriedale, and I've done a traditional 2-ply. You can still see spots that are really quite unspun and some that are quite overspun. But overall, I was really pleased with how this came out. So this is something I probably will actually knit with. I'm going to insert a couple of pictures of some other bits that I've been playing around with that are certainly nowhere near as good as this. But I'm still enjoying the process of trying it and getting the feel for the wheel and just experimenting with how it all works. And I feel like I've now got the understanding. I've been watching a lot of videos about it, and I was letting the wheel go too quickly and feeling like I couldn't control what was going on. So to be able to just slow down with it a little bit and understand that I have the control in my hands and in my feet, and that the way that I combine those two together is what actually is going to pull it all together. That's obvious, I guess. You know, it's your feet and it's your hands, but it's moving them at different speeds and understanding which part is putting the spin into the yarn and which part is putting the yarn onto the bobbin. And I'm beginning to get that. I've been sitting down every day and just spinning a little chunk of fibre and seeing how it feels and trying to connect it more smoothly too, because there's the stopping and starting too. Like you feel like you get into a groove and then you stop and you come back the next day and all of a sudden you've got a big, horrible, fluffy chunk happening. So I'm working through that, and it's been a really fun thing to learn. And now that I feel like I'm actually getting better, I can sort of make plans for buying additional fibre to feel like I can actually produce something that I can do something with. So at the moment I have this beautiful merino on the wheel. This is also from Colleen's Crafts, and I have split the braid in half, and then this half I have just fluffed out all as one piece, and the other half I've split into, I don't remember if it's 2 or 3 strips, and then I've fluffed those out. So I'm going to probably just then ply the two together and see how the colours come out. Again, it's experimenting with the colour as well. So, you know, you get this beautiful braid, and then when you put it together, you're just not sure how the colours are going to come out. So I'm looking forward to doing that, and I'll be continuing to show a little bit of my spinning process. That's it for another week. I hope you had a good week and that you've enjoyed Easter if you're celebrating. I'd love if you could subscribe and leave me a comment, and I'll see you next week on the farm. Bye.